According to the National Electrical Code Section 680.71, a ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, is not required for a television receptacle. National Electrical Code Section 410.4d prohibits luminaires from being located above a tub or shower. A television is not a luminaire. Therefore, it is acceptable to be mounted above a hydro massage tub. The key to understanding this is the definition of a luminaire and applying it to the specific situation. Let's delve deeper into these code sections and their implications. Firstly, understanding the purpose of ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, is crucial. GFCIs are designed to protect individuals from electrical shock by monitoring the current flowing in a circuit. If there is an imbalance in the current, indicating that some current is leaking to ground, the GFCI will trip the circuit, cutting off the power supply very quickly. This rapid interruption of power can prevent serious injury or even death. In the context of bathrooms and areas with water, GFCIs are often required for receptacles and circuits that serve these areas to minimize the risk of electrical shock. Section 680.71 specifically addresses electrical equipment in and around hydromassage bathtubs. The code dictates the requirements for receptacles, lighting, and other electrical components to ensure safety. The fact that the code does not mandate a GFCI for a television receptacle near a hydromassage tub suggests that the risk associated with a television in this location is considered lower than that of other electrical devices. Secondly, consider the definition of a luminaire as it pertains to the National Electrical Code. A luminaire is broadly defined as a complete lighting unit consisting of a lamp or lamps together with the parts designed to distribute the light, to position and protect the lamps, and to connect the lamps to the power supply. It is important to differentiate between a luminaire and other electrical devices such as televisions, radios, or other appliances. While a television does emit light, its primary function is not illumination. It is an electronic device designed for displaying video content. This distinction is critical because Section 410.4d specifically prohibits the installation of luminaires above tubs and showers. The intent behind this prohibition is to minimize the risk of electric shock should a person come into contact with a luminaire while in the tub or shower, where they are likely to be wet and more vulnerable to electrical currents. The rationale for allowing a television above a hydromassage tub while prohibiting luminaires rests on the fundamental differences in their design, function, and perceived risk. A television is typically enclosed in a non-conductive housing, and its internal components are designed to be insulated from the external environment. Luminaires, on the other hand, may have exposed conductive parts or be more susceptible to moisture intrusion. It is important to verify that the television is installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and any other applicable codes or regulations. This includes ensuring that the television is securely mounted and that all wiring connections are properly made and protected. Furthermore, the interpretation of electrical codes often requires careful consideration of the specific wording and intent of the code sections. In this case, the absence of a GFCI requirement for the television receptacle under Section 680.71, coupled with the exclusion of televisions from the definition of luminaires under Section 410.4d, suggests that the installation is permissible. However, it is always advisable to consult with a qualified electrical inspector or engineer to obtain a definitive interpretation of the code in a particular jurisdiction. It is also worth noting that local codes or regulations may impose additional requirements or restrictions beyond those specified in the National Electrical Code. Moving forward, the approval for TV mounting over a hydromassage tub comes down to the fact that a TV is not a luminaire. Section 410.4d prohibits luminaires, so we need to understand what a luminaire actually is. A luminaire, commonly referred to as a light fixture, is a complete lighting unit. It includes the lamp or lamps, the parts that distribute the light, the parts that position and protect the lamps, and the parts that connect the lamps to the power supply. Key characteristics of a luminaire involve its primary function to provide illumination. It's designed and intended to produce and distribute light for general or specific lighting purposes. Luminaires come in various forms, such as recessed lights, pendant lights, chandeliers, sconces, track lights, and more. They are chosen based on their lighting characteristics, aesthetic appeal, and suitability for the intended environment. Luminaires are often subject to specific safety standards and regulations to prevent electrical hazards and ensure efficient operation. Standards include requirements for insulation, grounding, heat dissipation, and protection against water or dust ingress, depending on the intended application. Now consider a television. A television, on the other hand, is an electronic device primarily designed for receiving and displaying video signals. Although a television screen emits light to display images, its main function is not to provide illumination in the way a luminaire does. Televisions are complex electronic devices that incorporate various components, including a display panel, circuit boards, power supplies, and input/output connections. The purpose of a TV is to render visual content from various sources, such as broadcast signals, streaming services, and connected devices. Televisions are also subject to safety standards to prevent electrical shock, fire hazards, and other potential risks. Standards address aspects such as power consumption, electromagnetic compatibility, and material safety. Given these distinctions, a television is not classified as a luminaire under the NEC, meaning it isn't subject to the restrictions of Section 410.4d. Remember, while mounting a television above a hydromassage tub is generally permitted by the NEC given it's protected by GFCI, local codes and regulations may have additional requirements or restrictions. Always consult with a qualified electrical inspector or engineer to ensure compliance with all applicable codes in your jurisdiction. In addition to code compliance, safety considerations should always be prioritized. Ensure that the television is securely mounted and that all wiring connections are properly made and protected. Consider using a professional installer to ensure that the installation is done correctly and safely. Be mindful of the potential for moisture exposure in the bathroom environment. Choose a television that is suitable for use in humid conditions, or take steps to protect the television from moisture damage. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of standards and guidelines for electrical installations in the United States. It is developed and maintained by the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, and is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and best practices. The NEC is widely adopted by state and local jurisdictions as the basis for their electrical codes, and compliance with the NEC is essential to ensure the safety of electrical systems and equipment. The NEC covers a wide range of topics related to electrical installations, including wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, equipment installation, and special occupancies. It provides detailed requirements for the design, installation, and maintenance of electrical systems to minimize the risk of fire, electric shock, and other hazards. The NEC is organized into chapters, articles, and sections, each addressing a specific aspect of electrical installations. The chapters cover general requirements, wiring and protection, wiring methods and materials, equipment for general use, special occupancies, special equipment, and special conditions. The articles provide more specific guidance on particular topics, and the sections offer detailed requirements for specific installations or equipment. The NEC is not a static document, and it is continuously revised and updated to reflect changes in technology, industry practices, and safety concerns. The NFPA conducts a rigorous process of public input, review, and revision to ensure that the NEC remains relevant and effective. The NEC is an essential resource for electricians, electrical engineers, inspectors, and other professionals involved in the design, installation, and maintenance of electrical systems. It provides the necessary guidance to ensure that electrical installations are safe, reliable, and compliant with industry standards. The section of the NEC referenced here, 410.4d, addresses the location of luminaires in specific areas, such as above bathtubs and showers. It is crucial to understand the specific requirements and limitations outlined in the section to ensure compliance and safety. The prohibition of luminaires above bathtubs and showers is intended to minimize the risk of electric shock in these areas, where individuals are more likely to be wet and vulnerable to electrical currents. This restriction applies to all types of luminaires, including recessed lights, surface-mounted fixtures, and pendant lights. The NEC does allow for exceptions to this rule in certain circumstances, such as when the luminaire is specifically designed for use in wet locations and is protected by GFCI. The exception that allows luminaires in wet locations when protected by GFCIs highlights the importance of understanding the code's underlying principles and rationale. GFCIs are designed to detect even small imbalances in electrical current, which can indicate a potential shock hazard. When a GFCI detects such an imbalance, it quickly trips the circuit, cutting off the power supply and preventing a potentially dangerous electric shock. By requiring GFCI protection for luminaires in wet locations, the NEC aims to provide an additional layer of safety to protect individuals from electrical hazards. In addition to the specific requirements for luminaires, the NEC also addresses the general requirements for electrical equipment in wet locations. This includes requirements for enclosures, wiring methods, and grounding to ensure that electrical equipment is protected from moisture and that any potential faults are safely grounded. The NEC also provides guidance on the selection and installation of electrical equipment that is suitable for use in wet locations, such as those with an EMA rating that indicates their resistance to water and other environmental factors. Now, let's consider some additional factors that may influence the decision of whether or not to mount a television above a hydromassage tub. These factors include the specific design of the bathroom, the location of other electrical equipment, and the potential for moisture exposure. If the bathroom is small or poorly ventilated, the potential for moisture buildup may be greater, which could increase the risk of electrical shock. In such cases, it may be prudent to avoid mounting a television above the tub, even if it is technically permitted by the NEC. Similarly, if there are other electrical outlets or equipment located near the tub, it is important to ensure that they are properly protected by GFCIs and that they are not located in a position where they could be easily splashed with water. In summary, the decision of whether or not to mount a television above a hydromassage tub is a complex one that requires careful consideration of the NEC local codes and specific bathroom conditions. While the NEC does not explicitly prohibit such installations, it is essential to ensure that all applicable requirements are met and that safety is prioritized. Consulting with a qualified electrical inspector or engineer can help to ensure that the installation is done correctly and safely.